I'm Amelie and welcome once again to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing something very different to what I usually do. This is not a reaction, and if you have clicked on the video, you have read the title, you are looking to what's right in front of you, you know what I'm going to be doing is a ranking of every ship in the Untamed. Now, let's get this out of the way. Let's address the elephant in the room. The title says every ship of the Untamed. That was a lie. It was clickbait. I clickbait you. I just clickbait the average of 20 people that watch my videos. So I'm so sorry. I am not ranking every shape of the Untamed because let's face it, the Untamed has like 5 million characters. If you were to talk about each of the ship configurations that you can do with all of the characters, that would take ages. And sometimes my videos are very long. But not that long. You'll need to be a mathematician to think about all the number of those configurations. It will be eternal. So I am not actually ranking every ship in the Untamed. I am so sorry I lied. But I'm going to rank a good number of them. There's going to be a few of them. So it's very likely that some of the ships that you're interested in are going to be there. I'm mainly talking about the most popular ones. I'll be honest, I didn't delve into the more rare pairs, but I feel like I have a good gander of the possibilities of the pairings. So I'm happy, I'm excited to do this video because I think it's going to be fun. The other thing that I have to do is say that yes, this video is actually late, very late. For those who don't watch my Scumbag System reactions on Fridays, last Friday I said that I was going to record this video on Friday and I was going to upload it on Saturday. And boy, was I optimistic. It did not happen. Mainly because when I sat down to record it, I realized that unlike the reactions that I pretty much just have to sit down and press play, when I do a ranking, I actually have to, collect the pictures to create the ranking and think of the categories and all of that. Obviously, when I decided on the video, I put zero thought on it until I realized, oh boy, there was something I was supposed to do. And let me tell you, already the pictures were working off. Because yes, you can also put just the names. You don't actually have to put pictures to create a tier list. But I like the pictures. I think they look nice. So I decided that I was going to have pictures. So I went ahead and went to Google and started Googling, the different pairings to get pictures of them. And for some of them, nothing appeared in Google, like there were zero pictures. So I have to go to, the show to actually get a screen cap or something. And what I discover is that some of these people have never been in a room together. And when they are probably like 3 meters apart, and it makes it impossible to put them into a square image. So that was a discovery that I made when I was already halfway through looking for pictures. So it was evident that for some of these pairings, I was not going to be able to get some pictures. So what a reasonable person would do is, okay, so I already have more than halfway through done. Let's just mash 2 pictures together. And that's it. That would be the end. I will finish quickly and that's it. Now, you can see the pictures below, so you can tell that that is not what I did. I am not a reasonable person. I couldn't tolerate, my brain would not allow for me to have that difference between these pictures. So what I did is grab 2 pictures, put them together and did the same for all of the pairings. Now, the good thing is that I had already the pictures because these are the pictures that I use for my ranking for the characters of the Untamed. So I think with the exception of one character, all of the other characters I had. And I didn't have to look for individual pictures. However, I should tell you that the pictures are not... they are not in no way near neutral. Like, I seem to remember when I did the second ranking of the characters of the Untamed, when I look for the pictures, I look for pictures that look goofy. Like, I look for the goofiest pictures that I could find of every character. That was my goal. And I think for most characters, I managed to achieve that goal. So those were the only pictures that I have. I didn't have the pictures for the first list, which they were normal. Those were the normal pictures, sadly. The pictures that I use here, if you're wondering, especially Shang Chang, what's happening with him, that happens. I'm using that picture, which is, it is what it is. Why didn't I look for other pictures? Because I was already doing all of the other work. So that was too much. I settled for those pictures, and we are going to have to accept that. So after I finished with the pictures, I thought about the ranking, I prepared everything. It was already too late, I was not going to record, so I leave it for Saturday. But Saturday, I decided to go out with my friends. I went out with my friends and I came back home late, which normally wouldn't be a problem. I usually record pretty late. I usually record between 1 a.m., 2 a.m., something like that. I am a person who stays up very late, so it doesn't bother me. The problem was that I was not only late, but I was more than a little bit tipsy. I usually don't drink, but, sometimes I do. When that happens, oh boy, that is not something that you want to hear. Normally I am pretty loquacious in these videos, like I can talk without ending. Believe me, alcohol doesn't help that. So as a favor to the people who are going to listen to this and to all of us, I decided maybe let's record on Sunday. But of course, Sunday I woke up with a headache, so I have to wake in the afternoon, and then in the afternoon I have to do something else, and this is the evening of Sunday. So God knows when this is going to be uploaded, but know that it was meant to be uploaded on the weekend. And also after this, I have to record the episode of Advance Bravely. So that is a nice night ahead. At least I don't have to work. At least I have finished my work for the day, so I'm free to do this, which makes me very happy. So let's move to other things. I think some people might be wondering, what's happening? Why am I uploading all of these Untamed things? Last week, I uploaded the BTS, and the previous one, I also uploaded the BTS. And I have to be honest, I've been missing the Untamed. I've been missing doing things with the Untamed, talking about the Untamed, doing videos. I already mentioned, I think it was in my last reaction with comeback system, I don't have anybody to talk about with the Untamed. Nobody wants to watch it. I don't know anybody who has watched it in real life, so I am completely alone. And I'm not that much in social media, so I don't get the opportunity to, maybe be on different platforms and talk to people. And that is, that is not great, because then I have a lot of things to say, but I have nowhere to say them. But then I realized, don't you have a YouTube channel? And yes, I do. I do have a YouTube channel, so that is where I'm going to say them. I'm going to start doing some videos about the Untamed because I want to do more things related to the Untamed. I want to talk more about the Untamed because I enjoy it. I don't know what it is about it. And I have the feeling that for a lot of people, they have the same experience of not being able to let go. And I don't think that happened with any of the other shows that I've reacted to or any other shows that I've seen, or at least lately, that I just want to continue. And maybe that is something that I can explore in a future video, like what is the attraction of the Untamed, at least for me, and I think maybe for other people. So, mark it down as a possible video in the future. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that there's going to be more videos about the Untamed. I'm going to try to react to other things related to the Untamed. Maybe if you have any recommendations, just send them my way. Any video, like whatever, I'll watch anything. I have to admit that I have already seen some crack videos, but other than that, send me anything, I'll watch it. I already watched the Untamed, Modal Sushi Q, and I reacted to the songs, I reacted to the BTS. But there must be more things to react. Obviously, there are some pretty big things to react. One of them is the audio drama. Now, I have been having issues with the audio drama. The problem that I have with the audio drama is that the people who did the subtitles put the audio drama in a Discord. And I have no idea what Discord is or how it works. I may be a millennial by age, but I'm very much a boomer by heart, so I have no idea how anything works. I think it's a miracle that I managed this much, at least. Like, the fact that I managed to do videos and upload them, that is more than I was expecting. So I'm trying to figure out, Discord, which I will eventually, but that is something that I would also like to react. Definitely the audio drama is something that everybody recommends. I guess the manga is also there, and I guess maybe I could find it and react to it in a way. I don't know. The other video that I'm also continually doing is obviously the novel. I'm still reading the novel. My problem with the novel, not a problem with a novel, that sounded harsh. My thing with a novel is that although I'm not a slow reader, a lot of my work, especially when I translate things, involves reading and looking at text. And sometimes I work for so long that I don't want to see any other text for the rest of the day. So sometimes sitting down and reading is a little bit of a chore, for me at least. It's a pity that nobody has done an audiobook yet, because I would love that. Also, I don't think it's something that translates necessarily to the kind of videos that I do, but I do a lot of preparation for those videos. Like, I read the chapters a lot, I analyze them, I do color-coded post-its, I research things. So I don't think it translates because of my way of being and my way of doing videos, but I actually do put a lot of effort in those videos, which it's also perhaps another reason why they happen so rarely lately. The other reason is probably also because they need an effort to be done because of the way I do videos, and that is my fault. The thing is, I don't usually edit my videos a lot. It's just not my thing. The way that I do videos, in case anybody's curious, is that I sit down, I start talking, and when I finish, I stop talking, and that is the recording. And I do zero editing, hopefully. There have been times where I have to edit, like maybe my brother arriving by surprise and scaring me, or, I don't know, something falling suddenly and I scream and drop things. It was a whole thing. So in some occasions I had to, edit to remove things, but for the most part, I try not to, because it's a chore. And I know that in that sense, that doesn't help me, because when I do videos, like the videos that I do for the novel, in which I'm talking usually for about 2 hours without stopping, when I finish, my throat just wants to disappear. Essentially, my voice is just 2 minutes about quitting. So that is my fault. If I did videos in a different way, if I did actually an effort to do more editing, maybe I'll find it easier. But then I'll have to edit, and that is another difficulty that I don't know if I can add to my repertoire of difficulties. So what I'm trying to say is that I'm still doing the videos about the novel, but they're coming slow. That's all I'm saying. Although I already have the recording for one, which again was an adventure, because I have to record and then re-record, and then my computer kept crashing when I was doing the processing, so I have to start the processing again. So that was, that's just my problem with things. But I think between next week and then the other one, I'm getting another one of those videos up, because the recording is already there. I just have to, just do the thing to make it into a video. And it's a long one, so that's why it's probably going to take longer. Anyway, if you have any recommendations about things about the Untamed that I could watch or I could, talk about, send them my way. I'm willing to watch and react to anything, really. And not only related to the Untamed. I mentioned the Untamed because of the 2 adaptations, or I guess 3 if you consider Morao Sushi Q. Of the adaptations that I've seen, the Untamed, I have to say, is the one that I like the most. I know that a lot of people don't share this opinion, but it is true for me. It is the one that I like the most, maybe because the one that I saw first, but regardless, it is the one that I like the most. So that's why I refer to the Untamed. But again, I'm open to anything Morao Sushi, but take into consideration that I haven't finished the novel. So I guess spoilers for the novel? Can there be spoilers for the novel? I don't, at this stage. I've seen, like, having seen Morao Sushi and having seen the Untamed, are there still spoilers? I'm not sure. Anyway, that is that. Now, before I actually start this video, which started 15 minutes ago, by the way, I have a disclaimer to make, because I'm going to be talking about my opinions. And I had found that when I express opinions in this channel, some people were not, how can I put this? They were not open to them. No, they were not, my opinions were not well received, let's just say. And I think that's fair enough. I think you may agree or disagree with things. That's fine. I don't think anybody should have the same opinion on everything. I think everybody's going to have a different opinion that is based on their own taste, that is based on their own experiences. So the truth is that everybody likes different things. Not everybody can like the same things. So I may mention ships here that you love and I don't particularly care for, or that I actively hate. Who knows? But I don't think that, when I don't like a pairing, I don't think it reflects badly on the pairing. It's just my personal taste that is not for me, especially when it comes to fan fiction, which is something that I use to base this whole thing, by the way. I am actually pretty vanilla when it comes to fan fiction, and I don't mean the sex. Actually, the sex, not at all. But look, I am not someone who enjoys romantic things a lot. But when I do, I go the full way. I want the trashiest, most romantic Harlequin novel that you can get. That is exactly what I want. How do you know how many Harlequin novels have I read? Both gay and straight? I don't know. I love them. I'm coming out as a lover of trashy romantic novels. Yes, they are problematic. No, I don't actually like 50 Shades of Grey. I do not consider that a Harlequin novel to me. It has to be historical. But I don't know. I just like the certainty that there's going to be a lot of problems, there's going to be a lot of angst, but at the end of the day, you're going to get a happy ending. I just don't like things that don't have a happy ending. And I don't like stories that have darker themes. At least not in my romantic stories and not in my fanfiction. So that you should take that into consideration, because maybe somebody who likes that type of thing, maybe they would enjoy different ships or different pairings than I do. And that is fine, because everybody enjoys different things. What I'm trying to say is that if you disagree with some of my choices and you want to leave a comment, you are more than free to do so. I am always willing to, share different perspectives, to discuss this with somebody, but just do not be a dick. That's what I'm trying to say. Don't just send hate. Don't put yourself in the perspective that the other person is wrong and I'm right, because I think when it comes to taste, nobody's right. There is no wrong taste. It's just the taste that you have. It's just the things that you like. So, don't be a dick about it. And even if I'm going to say things that are wrong or things that you consider they are wrong. And again, I'm perfectly fine, with people telling me about it, but then, do it nicely, because I don't have a lot of patience for shit. So if I see a comment that is not very nice, I'm probably not going to read it, or I'm probably going to read it, but I'm not going to respond to it. I'm not going to interact with it. I'm just going to ignore it. So, take that as you will. Just be nice. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, let's move to okay, 19 minutes. Oh God, this is the longest. No, I have done longest introductions. That would be, if I say that this is the longest introduction, yeah, no, that would be very wrong. And I think last week? No, the previous week that I did an introduction that lasted like 40 minutes something. So this is nothing. Anyway, let's just move into the material of the actual video. And the first thing that I want to talk about is how did I choose the different pairings that I'm going to be judging today. Now, I try to be as objective as possible as first. So I try to use data for, the selection of the pairings. So what I did was go into AO3 and selected the Untamed, selected Modal Sushi and see, and I tried to see what pairings came up and I make a list. The thing about that is that what happened is that I found that a lot of the pairings were always the same. Like the most popular pairings, they didn't change a lot. I got to the point where, I didn't get any new results. So once I got all of the popular pairings, both, straight, gay, lesbian, everything. I got everything. I got a little bit of everything. There's a little bit for everyone here. And I just went, well, this is fine. Using data is fine. But also, I think I can include my own judgment. So I went to Tumblr and I pretty much made note of all the pairings that I noticed that I've seen lately. So those are the rest of the pairings. I have 28 pairings and some of them are very popular. Some of them, they are here as well. Some of them are personally pairings that I like that I haven't seen other people actually do anything about them, but I don't know, maybe this will motivate them to do something about it. So that is essentially what I did to decide the pairings. Now, I also use in a particular order for the pairings because I didn't want to do it randomly. I wanted to do it in a particular order just because, that's how the mood struck me. So I decided that I was going to start with the canon couples. And these are couples that canonically get together within the show. Now, you're going to say, you can already say that Wang Xian is the first couple that you have in the list, but technically you're taking the Untamed canon in which they are not together. Well, fuck you. I'm going to consider them canon anyway, because although I'm basing this mostly on the Untamed, this is more like a mixture of everything. So, you know what, this is my video. If I want to consider the, Wang Xian canon, I am going to consider them canon. And I think they are. I think that, that's the whole point of the show. So, that's it. That is the first canon pairing. It is Wang Xian or nothing. The next group of pairings that I considered were pairings that were not canon, but there were hints. Like the hinted pairings. Like, you know what? You look at them and said, yeah, I think they're trying to tell me something. So those are the next ones. Some of them are more obvious. Some of them, they're more evident on purpose that they are, just an almost couple, let's just say. Some of them I feel like maybe they are less and maybe they have to do, I don't know, with the chemistry between the actors or something like that. I don't know. That is the second group of people that I put here. The third group of people is just popular pairings. I didn't know where to put them, so I put them here, essentially. So just the most popular ones in no particular order, they're just there. And finally, my favorite group of pairings, the crack ships, the ships that nobody else, although I have read some things for them, they're definitely the ones that, the strangest of the groups, which I actually really dig. So that is the group that I'm really looking forward to. Now, to end this 23 minutes. Okay. Why? To end this never-ending introduction, let me talk about the categories. I did, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 categories. I had to count them because originally I had less. And the last minute, I decided to add a new one. So I first have to say that the categories I decided based on how I react and deal to these pairings when I see them in fanfiction. That is how I'm going to judge these pairings. So the first one is chef kiss. Obviously, the pairings that I love. These are the pairings that I, look for stories to read. Like I go to AO3 and I type the names and I specifically look for stories with them as the main characters. So that is the chef kiss category. The second category is second best. These are pairings that I enjoy and I enjoy when they have a subplot, but I don't want them as the main. They always have to be a subplot and they have to be in it, but I'm not actually interested in a whole story focus on them. Or maybe I would read it, but I don't know if I would actually look for it. I'm not going to type their names and I'm not going to look for specific stories about them. But I'm very happy to read them when there's a plot about them in stories. Then we have background characters. We have background pairings. Background pairings are pairings that appear together in the story, but they don't get a plot. They're just there. They are together. We don't get like how they get together or anything like that. No, they're just together and they appear together. That is a background character. Still, there's pairings that I enjoy, but I'm not necessarily very interested in their story. But I do like to see them together. The fourth category is meh. When I mean meh, I mean pairings that I don't care if they are there and I don't really care if they're not. Like, it could go either way. I just have no feelings. I just could not care less about these two people or more, because we have not only, pairs of choose. This is the category. The next category is the category that I actually added at the last minute. And this category is called the recycling. This is a weird category, so I actually doubted in adding it. But in the end of the day, I decided that I would. This category is for pairings that I would normally don't like, but basically because of canon, like because I don't like their story on canon or something like that. But I would read maybe in kind of alternative reality in which things were different. So the characters are slightly different or make different choices. And maybe in that version, I would be interested in reading it. So that is called the recycling. That is a very complicated concept, but I can think of at least one pairing that I can put in this one. And by the way, I don't think of the categories beforehand. Like, I already know where some of the pairings go, but for the most part, I actually have no idea. I just, I just decide in the moment. But I think I can already think of one pairing that go into that category. Then we have trash. Trash are pairings that I don't like. I don't like these characters together. I don't care about them. I don't see anything about this pairing that would interest me. However, if there is a story that I really want to read, and they are like a secondary or a background pairing, I would probably still read it, and I'll skip the parts with them on them. So I don't like them, but I would still read some story in which they are part of if I can skip their parts. That again, I think I was very specific with these categories. The last category is the incinerator. The incinerator is for the pairings that I do not like at all. Like, whenever I see them, even if it's a story that I think this story I'm going to love. I love the type of writing. I love the story. I love the premise. But if these two characters are there, or if this pairing is there, or if this ship is there, I am not going to read it. No matter how much I want to, I am not going to read it. So that is the incinerator, a pairing that ruins stories for me. So those are the categories. That is the end of the categories. Almost half an hour, and I finished with the categories. So again, this video was, I don't know if I mentioned this, but in this weekend, I was supposed to do the contentment. I was supposed to do not the recording, because the recording is already done, but I was supposed to, do the video and upload the video for the novel for the contentment arc. But I didn't, because it was a very long video, and I thought it's going to take me ages to do. And then the computer is going to be doing that, because when I'm editing the video, not when I'm editing, when I'm processing a video, I can't do anything with the computer because it crashes. So whenever I'm doing that, I know that I cannot use the computer. So I kind of need it for something else. So I said, well, no, I'm going to do a shorter video so I can just, do something else, do the process much faster, and then do something else. And then I did a half an hour intro, and I haven't even started with the ranking, so joke's on me, I guess. Okay, so let's stop this. Let's stop with this. Let's stop with this. Just this nonsense. Let's stop with this intro and let's go to the video. And let's start with the first ship, which is obviously Lang Wenjin and Wei Wuxian. I decided to do this one first because, let's face it, we already know where it goes. I don't think there is any mystery there. It's going straight to Chef Kiss, obviously. I love this too, and I love reading stories about them. I would say that of all the stories that I read for the Untamed, they are definitely the ones that I read the most, the ones that they are in. And even when I read stories that are not about them, that are for other ships, I still expect them to be like in the background as a couple. Even when they don't do anything, even when they don't have a plot, whenever I'm reading a story and Lang Wenji appears and he's not with Wei Wuxian, or the other way around, Wei Wuxian appears and he's not with Lang Wenji, I'm like, what's wrong with this? What's happening? I'm not enjoying this. So even when they are not the focus of the story, I feel like they should still be together. I'm not interested in reading any story in which they are apart, which I think is already giving you a clue to maybe other ships that contain them. I think you can guess where my opinion is going to fall on them. What I would say is that for the stories that I've read of them, it's weird because I love the stories, but the ones that I haven't been able to really get into are the, alternative universe that are modern, like in modern times. I don't know why. Like, I've read a few that I like, but for the most part, like most of them, I did not like them. I don't know if it is something to do with the way they are interpreted as characters, the way they are portrayed, something like that. I just cannot get into it. I don't know what it is. My preference is definitely for things to happen within canon, or not even within canon, but within the universe. If they happen within the universe, I'm happy. And within that, I'm probably going to read anything. But for some reason, I love a lot of them that are like arranged marriages. As I said, I love trashy novels, and an arranged marriage is the trashy novel trope. So I'm not surprised, actually, that is one of my favorites. I also love those types of stories. I don't know if they have a name. They probably do, but I don't know it. Those stories that have like some change of canon, that changes, a lot of things and changes the way the story develop. I also have a few favorites of that. So I don't know. Again, I feel like I'm very traditional when it comes to my choices, but definitely for them, anything that takes place within the universe, within the time, those are the ones that I enjoy the most. I also really like stories post-canon, which again, it's weird. I think it's probably because of the Untamed, because the Untamed didn't end with them together, so there is a lot of stories about them actually getting together after the Untamed. And normally, I'm not a huge fan of post-canon stories, but for these ones, again, I actually love them. Another topic that I would love. And I think I'm going to make a collection of my, for the different ships that I actually like and enjoy. I'm going to maybe put a list of my favorite stories, so maybe you can see how my taste goes, like different stories that I actually enjoy. But definitely, what can I say about this two? They're definitely chef kiss. Let's move on to another two people. In this case, we have Vien Li and Xin Sichuan. Now, let me just say, I really like Vien Li. She's one, at least in the Untamed, she's one of my favorite characters. I love her. And every time that I talk about Vien Li, I say this, I still cry to her song from the Untamed. And also the one that she does with Xin Sichuan, another one that is going to guarantee some tears from me. I love it. And I actually like her with Xin Sichuan. I think a lot of people don't like him, but I feel like he's judged too harshly for something he did when he was essentially a teen, and that he more than made up, I think. Of all the Jins, I feel like he was one of the decent ones. So I do like Shin Sichuan. However, I think this couple is the equivalent of eating white bread with nothing and not toasted. And not like nice bread, like the kind of bread that you buy in the supermarket, that type of bread that, tastes, just bland. That is this couple for me. I'm so sorry. Again, Yan Li, I love you with all my heart. I do like them as background characters. Like when they are there as supporting characters, I'm fine. I'm just not that interested in reading any kind of plot involving their relationship. I guess they can have a different plot, but not one specific. Like, I don't want a lot of focus on them because, as I said, I'm just not that interested. I don't know what to tell you. They're just, they are what they are. They are fine, but again, I just don't want to know a lot about them. But again, love them. Love them, Yan Li, I love you. And she's going to appear in some others. And I feel like I'm going to compensate for putting her in that position with maybe other pairings that I'm going to mention that involve her. Let's go into the next one. The next one is a pairing that only appears in the Untamed. And I'm going to be honest. This pairing, I have never seen a story. I have never seen anything done. I don't think it has anyone who cares about it. I still included it because I fully support these two people. That is Mian Mian and Mr. Mian Mian. I don't know his name. I guess she might have mentioned it when she introduced him to Wei Wuxian, but I don't remember him. As far as I'm concerned, he's Mr. Mian Mian. I love this guy. I love this group. I love this pairing. I think they are so sweet together. I think the guy is hot. I mean, it's what Mian Mian deserves. Like, what more could she want? And I feel like, especially for the type of story that Mian Mian has, that she dedicated, like, all her life to the Jins. And she got to the point that even though she has been, loyal to them, she has been faithful, she had, defended Shin Sichuan, she had accompanied Shin Sichuan, I think they were close. And still, when she spoke up in favor of Wei Wuxian, they treat him like shit. Like, her word wasn't good enough. Like, she wasn't good enough to have an opinion. And that is such bullshit. So I'm so happy that she left that society, that she's living her best life with her husband, who might be rich, because I think he was like a merchant or something. I almost say businessman, but I don't think the word businessman at that time. I think he was a merchant, something like that. He was a common guy. He wasn't like a cultivator, which I think it's fine. I don't think she needs to be married to a cultivator. The thing is, like, he goes with her night hunting, even though he's a common guy. Like, he does nothing. He's just there supporting her. What more can you possibly want from a husband? Like, nothing. She has what she deserves. She has a good life with this guy, and he's attractive. I think he's handsome. So I'm going to put them in chef kiss. Although I have never read any story with them, I'll be definitely open to do so. So if there are some stories with them, send them my way because I want to read them. I think we need, and there are other pairings with Mian Mian that have a lot more attention, and I'm going to talk about them later. I think this one, I don't know. I think maybe because it's a guy and a girl, it's a straight pairing, people maybe pay less attention to them, but I like this for her. So let's move to the next. With this, we actually finished the canon pairings of the show. Obviously, I didn't include other canon pairings like Chan Fengmian and Madame Zhu because, no, I'm not interested in talking about them. I guess I could have included Qing Wanshan and Madame Jin, or Qing Wanshan, half of the female population in this universe. But I don't care. I don't care about them. That is my position. I just don't care. I guess assume that if not there, they're going to put them in meh, because I have no strong feelings towards any of these people. So let's move to the pairings that are not canon in some cases because they never happened, although they were very heavily, let's say, hinted at, and some that they were very heavily hinted at, but, you know, they were definitely not canon, and they're not canon in the novel, they're not canon anywhere. So let's start with Shang Chang, that yes, I know that is a very unfortunate picture, I already explained, you know, at least Wen Chin looks cute. So we had Shang Chang and Wen Chin. Now, I have a complicated relationship with Shang Chang. I sort of like him in the Untamed. I didn't thought he was too bad, but I definitely think that they actually softened him a lot in the Untamed, which I think maybe that's not what it's really in the novel or in Modao Sushi. I feel like I like him in the Untamed, but I didn't actually like him in Modao Sushi. And so far what I read about him in the novel, which is not a lot to be fair, I haven't liked it either. So I have very mixed feelings about him. But I do like him in the Untamed, and I actually kind of thought they were cute together, Wen Chin and him. I think she's a very strong character, and he has a mood, I guess. He has a lot of character as well. He's very bellicose, that's what I'm trying to say. So he needs someone who has a very strong character, who, you know, is going to tell him things how it is, and they're not going to sugarcoat, or they're not going to try to, you know, conciliate or anything like that. So I think in that sense, they are a very good combination. So I'm actually not that mad with this couple. But do I want to read a whole story about them? No. Do I want to read them as a secondary couple? No. I'm so sorry, Wen Chin. and Chang Chang as well. I'm going to put them as a background character. Like, if they are there, it's fine, but I don't actually want to have to read about them. You know what I mean? And I love Wen Chin. I love her. If there's a character that I love, it's definitely her. But I think she can do better than Chang Chang, like, sorry. And again, I find them that I'm not bothered by them. I think they're fine. I think they're cute. But again, she can do so much better. Let's move to the next one. The next one is Lan Shishen and Jingunjao. Now, I think a lot of people are going to assume they know where I'm going to put these two. And I think they're probably going to be right, but not for the reasons that they think. Not just because I don't like Jingunjao. My position towards Jingunjao famously is that I do not like him. I find him fascinating. I think he's an interesting character, and I do understand his background, like how difficult his life was and all of that. But on the other hand, I don't think that excuses any of his actions, and I also think he's a huge gaslight, and his gaslighting abilities are so powerful that I think they sometimes affect their audience as well. So that's my position towards Jingunjao. So you're going to assume I'm just because of that, I'm going to put them in the incinerator. And no, although I am going to put them in the incinerator, I do not like to see them together. The reason of this is not because of what Jingunjao did in general, but what he did in particular to Lan Shishen. That is what I don't like. I feel that I would feel differently if Jingunjao would have committed all of the atrocities that he had committed, but he hadn't gotten Lan Shishen involved. That would have been very different for me. But because he did got him involved, that is the part that I don't like. The fact that he used them, that he used him as a way to access Nimindre and to, you know, help him without knowing, to kill him, that is something that I do not like. And also the fact that he lied and all of that. But to me, that's the thing that I just don't like. I think there is a sadism in that, knowing that Lan Shishen cares for Nimindre, knowing that they are friends and that he still used him to get rid of him, knowing even that he was going to hurt him, like he was going to hurt Lan Shishen. And I do believe, I'm going to say it, I do believe Jingunjao did care for Lan Shishen a lot. And I do think Lan Shishen cared for him back. But I just feel like that, the fact that he did that to him, the fact that he used him in that way, something that I'm just not going to forget. So even if it's an alternative reality when nothing happened and, he's a complete different person, I don't know. I still find that very hard to swallow. So I do not like him. I do not like this pair. And I don't even find it like, I feel like a lot of people at the end of the story think that Lan Xishen was maybe mourning his relationship. And I think part of that with that, it's interesting the parallels between Lan Xishen and Jingunjao and maybe his father and Madame Lan. I think that would be an interesting comparison. However, I do feel that Lan Xishen was not only lamenting that, but he was also lamenting how he was made a tool in whatever Jingunjao did. Like how he was blind enough to believe everything he did and, become not an active participant because obviously he didn't know what was happening, but, a tool, something that happened and he was right there and he didn't do anything about it. So I don't know. I feel that he also felt guilty. I think it's very interesting, like the last scene that they have together, at least in the Untamed, and I don't remember in the other one. I don't remember if it happens in Morao Sushi, the moment that Lan Xishen stabs Jingunjao, and I think Nimindra's spirit starts to do something. I don't know. It was never clear in the Untamed what was happening, but essentially, I think Nimindra's spirit was coming for Jingunjao or something like that, and Jingunjao asked Lan Xishen to stay, and Lan Xishen was actually going to stay. And I think a lot of people interpret that like he wants to die with him because he loves him. I think he wants to die with him because he thinks he deserves it. I think that's how guilty Lan Xishen feels after everything. Obviously, I do believe that he loves Jingunjao, but I also think finding out everything about him is something that destroy him in that sense, in the sense that now he felt himself complicit in everything that Jingunjao did because he never did anything. Even when I think it's one of the things that they say, again, this is all from the Untamed. He says that even when he saw things that were suspicious from Jingunjao, he didn't do anything because he gave him the benefit of the doubt. He thought that everybody treated him so badly and it was so unjust that he was not going to go around, accusing him of things. So in a lot of times he just, maybe let things go when he should have pursued them and maybe find out more. So I don't know. I will give it to them that they do have a very interesting dynamic, but I would be more interested in reading a meta than actually reading stories. That's what I'm trying to say. And again, no, I'm going to leave them in Incinerator. That is my last choice. Let's move to another complicated relationship, which is Nimindre and Jingunjao. I think you can guess. I mean, if I thought that Jingunjao using Lan Xishen for his evil means was something that I couldn't get over, you can guess that killing him is definitely something that I cannot get over. So I'm going to put these two in the Incinerator. And now, this is probably because of my personal taste. I think maybe someone who likes maybe darker stories, they will probably enjoy that pairing more. Personally, I don't. I do not enjoy those types of stories like with darker themes or maybe heavier or things like that. No, that's not what I'm about. So definitely not for me. Definitely not something that I would read. And I'm thinking, and I think maybe I have read something with them as a second pairing, but I think it maybe was only once and then never again. I find this relationship very problematic. There was, and I think it's also frustrating because I do believe that Nimindre cared for him for a long time, like before he left the Ni clan, like the whole time he was in the Ni clan. I thought Nimindre did care for him, and his problem was seeing this other side of him that he didn't approve. And also, Jingunjao killing people, which is definitely an issue. But what I can get over specifically is the way Jingunjao killed him, because, again, it's not that I would like it more, but if he had, regularly poison, like just give him poison, kill him, and that's it, I wouldn't like it, but I'll find it more straightforward at least, because in this case, it seems like he's drawing it out to see him suffer, because the way he killed him is actually horrific. It's completely horrific. And not only is something that is going to kill Nimindre, but it's something that is going to completely, put in danger people around him, but also force the people around him to see him that way. We already know that Nimindre had this problem with the chi deviations, and that was something that transformed his character a lot and made him behave in a certain way. And he already knew that he was going to die, which is something that for some reason I've seen people doing, like saying, oh, he was going to die anyway, so, it doesn't matter. Or even people victim blaming, like, he shouldn't have trusted Jingunjao, so it was his fault. We have to remember the reason he trusted Jingunjao was because of Lan Xishen. So again, more guilt piled into Lan Xishen. But the way of, pretending to be helping someone when you're in fact slowly poisoning him, that is so fucked up. That is what I don't like. So, again, if you are really into that sort of, darker storyline, then I think you'll probably enjoy them. But it is definitely not my cup of tea, not something that I'm interested in reading. As you can imagine, since I don't like them, individually, I do not like Lan Xishen with Jingunjao, and I don't like Nimindre with Jingunjao, I definitely don't like the three of them together for the same reasons. I just... No. I think I've already explained enough why I don't like it individually. And don't think that this is just like, oh, because I don't like this one with this one, I don't like this one, I don't like it. This is the case for this one. But I think for other, thraples, I guess you will call them, we only have one other one that I included in this case. You may be surprised where I'm going to put that one, which I have already thought about it. But again, I think if you really like the kind of angsty stories that this group of people, is making available, then there they are. Personally, they are not what I enjoy. And even if it's like in an alternative reality or anything like that, it's just no. Especially because I feel that I distrust Jingunjao so much that if I were to read something in which he's definitely behaving a different way, all the time I'll be waiting for him to betray them, just maybe to kill someone, to betray someone in some way. So I feel like that is another reason why, in general, Jingunjao is not a character I enjoy reading a lot about. So let's move to the next pairing. Now, the next pairing is Xiaozing and Song Lang. I really like these two. But as far as I am concerned, they are already married, and that's it. I do like them, but I think I've said it many times, the ECT arc is not my favorite. I find it depressing. So I think maybe the fact that I do not like it that much, that the characters that are involved in that arc, maybe they lost some of the interest for me. So these two characters, I'm going to put them in the background. I'm so sorry. I like them, but I just don't want to read a lot about them because, again, I feel it's going to be angsty. I feel like Shrey Yang is going to appear at any moment. I don't know if I'm that into that in particular. But I do enjoy them when they appear. Like when you are reading a story and they appear in the background and they are together, it's like, yes, that I love. But I don't know if I'm interested in more about them. I just want to see them happy. But I don't want to read about them being happy for, a specific story. The next one that we have is Xiaozing and Shrey Yang. And I think for very similar reasons that I don't like Jingunjao with either Lan Shishen and Nimingdre. I just don't like. I find the chemistry interesting for those two. Definitely, I feel like up to a point, I could say, yeah, I kind of see it. But on the other hand, Shrey was so sadistic in the things that he did for Xiaozing Sheng that he creeps me out. I don't know if I want to read that. And also, I do like Song Lang and Xiaozing Sheng together, and I don't want that to be separate. So definitely these two, I don't want to read about them. I'm so sorry. I don't want to break the couple. I think Xiaozing Sheng and Song Lang, they should be together. And the whole thing with making Xiaozing Sheng kill innocent people and knowing that you are hurting the other person and that he doesn't care. And I understand, the whole thing with his character and, everything that the trauma did to him, but it's so fucked up. I'm not into it. I don't want to see it. So it's there. It's in this narrator. It's gone. The next couple is very popular. Lan Shishen and Shang Chang. I have no idea why. Where is this coming from? Why is this pair so popular where I could barely find one moment in the show in which they are together? Like, I know they talk to each other, but that's it. So there is a lot of pairings with Shang Chang. I'm guessing he's kind of like the bicycle in this fandom. He's paired with a lot of people, and Lan Shishen happened to be the most popular one. I don't see it. I don't understand it. I don't like it. I don't like them together. I feel like if there's two people that should not be together, it's them. As I said before, when I was talking about Wen Chin and Shang Chang has a very strong character. And he also has a lot of issues. And I feel he needs someone to be straightforward to him. Someone who's going to confront him for his shit, who's going to say, maybe, what the fuck are you doing? And things like that, who's going to be able to communicate like that openly to him. And that person is not Lan Shishen. Lan Shishen is not a confronter. He does not confront things. He does not confront people. He's actually one of the characters that avoids conflict the most. He does not want to have a fight. He does not want to have a conflict. He's definitely more of, peacemaker. He wants to, just have a good relationship, thinking if I avoid conflict, if I don't fight, maybe that's the way to do it. And with Shang Chang, that is definitely not the way to do it. He needs someone to call him out on his shit. And Lan Shishen is not it. I read somewhere, and maybe I'm very wrong with this, so correct me if I'm wrong, that Lan Shishen in his character, he represented kind of like the values, or I don't know the values, but some of the beliefs of Taoism, in which you just let things happen to you, and things like that. You don't force things. You're supposed to just, let things happen and go with the flow. And I feel like it's very Lan Shishen. Obviously, he does things. It's not like he does nothing. But for the most part, he definitely seems the character that is diplomatic to the extreme, and he doesn't like confrontation. And Shang Chang is confrontation. He's a whole purple confrontation. So I just don't see it. This one goes to the incinerator as well. Oh, do I hate a lot of people? Do I hate a lot of couples here? But honestly, I just don't see it. And parentheses, I don't think Shang Chang should be dating anybody unless he gets a healthy dose of therapy. I don't think that guy should go and fix himself first and then see what happens next. But first, he has to work on himself because that guy has a lot of issues. So, I definitely going to say that when it comes to Lan Xishan, and I don't know what it is. I feel like, why would you put them together? Honestly, I feel maybe because of the symmetry, like having like the two, let's say, brothers, Wei Wuxian and Chang Chang, with the two brothers, which is weird. I don't know. It is weird. But again, I don't like it. It's gone. It's burned. Let's see the next one, which is Nikosan and Chang Chang. This I actually like. So as I said before, I think Chang Chang has to be with somebody who has a very strong personality. So he, they'll be able to kind of rein him in. And you may think Nikosan doesn't have a lot of, very strong personality, at least outwardly. But I do think that he is a manipulative little shit. And I think that may help him dealing with Chang Chang. Like, maybe he's not going to be about confrontation, like, about calling him out, directly. But maybe he's going to find other ways of dealing with him, because he's a very smart character. He knows how to manipulate things in his favor. Now, is this the healthiest couple? No, definitely no. But you know what? I wouldn't mind seeing them in the background. Definitely, if they are there, I'm not going to complain. It's fine. I'm going to read it. Again, I feel like it would be interesting to see Nikosan dealing with Chang Chang and, the worst part of his personality. But I think Nikosan is up to it. I think he can do it. But again, it's not going to be a relationship that is based on, the healthiest of communications, let's just say. The next one, we have Lan Xishan and Ni Minjue. I love them. That's just it. They go on top. I love Lan Xishan and Ni Minjue. You know that I already love Ni Minjue. Ni Minjue, anyway, is a character that I love either way. And that picture of him, it's such a pity that they didn't at least allow him to smile in the show. I suspect it's because it would have been too powerful. You would not be able to focus on anything else if he smiled. Look at those dimples. He's adorable. Like, I'm speechless. And I enjoy the type of relationship. I enjoy how they balance each other in the sense of, Lan Xishan being the calmer one, the one that, maybe is more rational, to Ni Minjue being more hot-headed. But that at the same time, Ni Minjue is so damn whipped for Lan Xishan. Like, he's going to be having an opinion and, loudly saying that he would never think differently. And then Lan Xishan is going to say, I think differently. And then Ni Minjue is going to completely change his stand, immediately, just because of Lan Xishan. So I have to, you have to admire that level of being whipped. I think they are adorable. I love them. And I actually look for stories about them. And I have read stories about them. Love them. They are great. And I don't know, there's something kind of sweet about them. It's also very sad because when you look for stories about them, I do not like reading stories in which they, that happen before canon, especially knowing how things are going to end. So that is not my thing. I usually prefer to read, alternative universe or, alternatives to canon or things like that in which the ending changes and something like that, but definitely not anything in which we know that Ni Minjue died. And usually you will have the nicest of stories, and then you have the ending and eventually Ni Minjue dies anyway. It's like, oh, why would you do this to me? It's horrific, but I still really like their chemistry. I like their dynamics. So very, very enjoyable. I love them. And I love Ni Minjue. He's such, I miss him. Anyway, let's go to the other throuple that we're going to have in this list. We have Song Lang, Xiaozing Cheng, and Shrey. And this is going to be controversial because I'm going to put them in the recycling. I kind of see the attractive of this. If there is a change, like imagine that, I don't know, Shrey Yang, instead of having the childhood that he has, let's pretend that he's found by, I don't know, Bao Shen's and he has a different childhood and he's still a little gremlin, but he's, without the trauma, hopefully. And, then he meets these two and they become a throuple. That's perfectly fine. But again, it probably goes against the character, but I can see the attraction. Personally, I do feel like Shrey Yang, as it is in canon, I don't know if I want to see him with anybody because he's scary and he's sadistic, and I think whatever relationship he's going to be in is not going to be a healthy relationship. Because even when he was with Xiaozing Shen, like in their little idyllic interlude when they were living in Coffin Town, in Yi City. I don't know why it's even said Coffin Town. I think it's called Coffin Town though. When they were living in Yi City and, with a Chin and all of that, and they were happy. Even then, he was making Xiaozing Shen kill innocent people. Like, why? What's the point? They were random people. Like, I don't get it. That's what I don't get about his character. That is not, obviously he did a lot of other shit that was reprehensible. But also, he didn't, like, to Xiaozing Shen, who's been nothing but nice to him, who saved him, and he was still doing that to him. I cannot understand. But if we have a Shrey Yang that maybe doesn't do that, I could see him with Song Lang and, Xiaozing Cheng. And also because I like the chemistry, but I don't want to separate Song Lang from Xiaozing Cheng. So all three together, that's what we like. That's fine. The next one, that is quite a couple. Now I realize I didn't include the couple between Su She and Lang Wangji, but I don't know if that even exists. I hope it doesn't. I really hope it doesn't. Anyway, we have Su She and Jingunjao. And you know what? I kind of see what's happening because in those last episodes, there was something going on between them. I don't know. I have the feeling that is, no, but I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this. Definitely, I would not be interested in reading anything long-term for this. I would not be looking for, some hot Su She Jingunjao action. That I'm not interested. But you know what? I actually wouldn't mind if they were there. But I'm going to put them in meh because, to be honest, Su She is just not a character that I find that interesting. So I don't know how much I would enjoy reading that. But you see, it's not like I hate every Jingunjao pairing. There are some that I would find kind of tolerable. But there was something going on there, right? Because definitely, obviously, you can see how Su She could feel indebted to him because I feel like Jingunjao was the one who gave him a hand into creating his own sect and all of that, and was the only one who paid him any respect. And obviously, I think he did it on purpose because he noticed that that's what Su She wanted. He wanted someone to give him the respect he thought he deserved. So I think, Jingunjao also manipulate that a little bit. But I don't know. Did he care for him? What do you think? Do you think that Jingunjao did care a little bit for Su She? I'm not sure. He's such a good actor that I'm not sure. I think Su She did care for him, and for a moment I did thought I could see like a hint of something from Jingunjao as well, but I don't know. This is complicated. I'm going to leave them there though. The next pairing, it's another weird one. The next three are something else. We have Shang Chang and Nimindre. Now, I love Nimindre, and he does have a strong character. However, he also has a debilitating illness that maybe makes it very volatile, and with another volatile character, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel the combination between these two. I think, when I said a strong character, I think maybe you have too much here with Nimindre. And I don't know. I think Nimindre needs someone who's more calm than him. He will balance him somewhat, especially considering his chi deviations. He needs someone to, bring him down a little bit. And I don't think, Shang Chang is going to be it. So I think I'm going to put them in trash. I don't know if I actually want to read them, about them. I just don't think they're the correct fit. And I do believe I have read, I have read a lot. I have read stories with them, and I think they're mostly, Nimindre dominating Chang Chang, which is fair enough, but again, I just don't find these two characters together believable. Like, at least that I could enjoy, but if you're reading something with a little bit more story, to me, these two, they don't make sense. I don't see it, and I don't like it. The next one, I think you can tell where I'm going to put this one. I have Chang Chang and Wei Wuxian. No. And let's imagine that, because obviously this is going to be my first reaction, but I do not want to separate Lan Wangji from Wei Wuxian. I have the feeling that they are made for each other. And again, that is like a whole really romantic bullshit and all of that. But I happen to like that romantic bullshit, and I happen to believe that Lan Wangji and Wei Wuxian, they're made for each other. So I don't actually see them with any character. So you know where I'm going to put this. Let's put them together. Why not? Let's start with Wei Wuxian. Why I don't think Shang Chang, or rather, why? Because I could see it from Shang Chang point of view. There were some points in the Untamed where I actually thought that Shang Chang was like jealous in that way, or at least maybe without realizing, but that there may be something happening there between Shang Chang, and not between Shang Chang and Wei Wuxian, but from Shang Chang's perspective. I don't think they would work. First of all, I think Wei Wuxian needs to be with an equal. I don't think Shang Chang cannot stand people being better than him, and Wei Wuxian is always going to be better than him. He's always going to be number one. Like, he also treat him like, or not treat him like a servant, but he kind of wanted him to be a servant, but that's something else. I don't see him being, there's never going to be they're never going to be happy, because Shang Chang is always going to feel inferior to Wei Wuxian. That's a reality. That's why I think, how can I say this? A lot of people see this kind of like reconciliation and all of that. And I do believe that eventually they can reconcile. But I don't think under those circumstances that things are going to go back to what they used to. I don't think Wei Wuxian will go back to live to Lotus Spear, because Shang Chang is now, sect leader, and he's up there. And he's not going to tolerate anybody who's better than him. And Wei Wuxian is a lot better than him under all, aspects that you can analyze someone as being better. I never got Wei Wuxian as being particularly, as having romantic feelings for him. Like, I have the feeling that Wei Wuxian, at least in the Untamed, he always saw him as a little brother. So, I don't know, that is also weird from that perspective, that they are kind of brothers. They're not brothers, they're not, and as far as I understand, Wei Wuxian is not even an adopted sibling. He's just a some there, which is weird, but there we go. He's the first disciple, but I feel like he doesn't have like an official position maybe in the household, but he treats him like his little brother, so I don't know. And again, they have such a volatile relationship, and I never seen Wei Wuxian particularly interested in Shang Chang. I think a lot of people use like the golden core thing, that he gave him his golden core, so obviously that means that he loves him, and he does love him like a brother. And also he made a promise that he was going to protect him, and he feels guilty because he was gaslighted into believing that the attack on Lotus Spear was actually his fault, which I don't know if he really believes, because he really wasn't. But he did promise that he was going to protect him, and I feel like I will change my mind. I don't think he feels guilty for the attack of Lotus Pier. I think he knows, Wei Wuxian knows that it wasn't his fault. But he does feel maybe indebted to Shang Mian and his family for taking him in, and he would do anything for them. So I tend to think that the golden core had more to do with that, of him seeing he could see that Shang Chang could not live without it, and that maybe he could find a different way, or maybe had another idea. Maybe he didn't thought he would need it as much as Shang Chang, so that's why he gave it to him. It was a sacrifice, I think, at least based a little bit of love, but not the type of love that people who ship them would want. So it's a no for me. Now let's talk about Lan Wangji and Wei Wuxian. I wish I was talking about Lan Wangji and Wei Wuxian. Let's talk about Lan Wangji and Shang Chang. Excuse me, what? Are we forgetting that we spend like the whole after Wei Wuxian's death in the show, we spend the whole story with just Lan Wangji not talking to Chang Chang. Like, he wasn't talking to him. I think from episode, because we see them in episode, together we see them in episode 2, and then we see them again, I think, I don't remember the episode, but starting from 33, which is the present narrative, and every time they meet, I don't think he actually talked to him, except I think when they are in Lotus Pier. I think that is the only time that he talks to him directly. But other than that, he didn't even talk to him. That's how disgusted he was with Chang Chang. That's how little he liked him. And also, Lan Wangji loves Wei Wuxian. Like, again, this is maybe me being tainted but how much I like Wang Xian. But I honestly do not see it at all. I do not see it. I don't think they are compatible. I think, especially because I feel like Lan Wangji wouldn't have the patience to deal with Shang Chang and his tantrums. I think he was just start cutting arms or something. I don't know. So whatever's happening there, no, I don't like it. And let me just go straight ahead, and I'm going to put this one here. No, I only see Wei Wuxian. Boy, there is a lot of things that I don't like in this. It makes me seem like such a hater, but I promise I actually like a lot of stories. For this one, again, I feel like Wei Wuxian always treating Wen Ning like a little brother, the same as Wen Chin, which is another couple that I didn't include. I didn't include Wei Wuxian and Wen Chin, which I know that some people do ship. I forgot to put it, but again, it will be in the same place because I just do not. Again, as I said, it doesn't always happen. I usually can ship people with different people, but for certain stories, for certain pairings, to me, it's like, oh, this is the only one for them. And with this one, this is definitely it. So just because of that, I just do not like reading anything with Wei Wuxian and Lan Wangji being with other people. That's just it. But in particular with this one, I could sense it, I could see it maybe from Wen Ning's point of view, because I feel like Wen Ning had a lot of admiration and maybe hero worship towards Wei Wuxian. But I think Wei Wuxian always saw him like a little brother, so I don't know. I do not like that. The next one, we have the pairing between Mian Mian and Wen Chin. I actually do like this one. I don't know if I would, or I have read some, like, they are the the focus of the story. I have to admit that I haven't read any story that actually makes me love it. I'm not crazy about the way they are portrayed in some of the stories, but I do like them, and I do like them when they appear. I just wish there were stories that I actually enjoy about them. But I think they fit. I think they're both very strong characters. I think I have the feeling that every time that I read them, they were probably like friends with Wei Wuxian or something like that. There were a couple that were friends with Wuxian or something like that. But I like them. I like them. And I love them individually. I love them together. What else can I say about them? The next one, Shang Chang and Jingunjao. This one, I guess it comes from the fact that fans sort of see Shang Chang and Jingunjao like being like collaborating in co-parenting Jingling. I do. I on the one hand, I have the same feelings that I have for Nikosan and Shang Chang. I have the feeling that if Jingunjao wanted, he could definitely, manage Shang Chang. The thing that I have with this one is that I have the feeling that they just don't. How can I put this? They don't respect each other. Like, I have the feeling that Jingunjao has zero respect for Shang Chang, and I have the feeling like Shang Chang doesn't really like Jingunjao. I don't know. It's just a feeling. I don't have any way to justify it. It's just a feeling. But I'm going to put them in meh, because to be honest, if they are there, I don't mind them. It's not like I'm not going to read a story just because they are there. But I'm indifferent. I'm completely indifferent towards this pairing. The next one, we have Lee and Wen Chin. Now, this is going to be controversial. I don't actually like this one this much. I don't actually see them, together. I like with their personalities. I don't know. I just don't know. And at least the ones that I read, they didn't do a good job convincing me that they would be a good match. And I have the feeling that for the pairings that I do like with Yan Li, I have such a strong feelings for them, or at least I like them more than what I've read with them too, that I was like, I'm always disappointed when Yan Li is not with Jin Sichuan, or with the other one that I'm going to talk about. So I'm so sorry. Where I'm going to put this? Do I care if no, I don't want to see them in the background. I'm going to put them in trash. So sorry, Yang Lee and Wen Chin. I just do not like it. Again, if you have any recommendations of stories that are good for them, send them my way. I'm open to reading. Again, the ones that I read, I didn't really love. So maybe that's it. I think that affects you a lot. Like, I feel like when you are new to a fandom and you start reading stories, if you're not lucky and the first stories that you read, you don't like, that is definitely going to affect the way that you deal with the whole fandom. Because it has happened to me with other fandoms that there was a pairing that I thought, oh, that is intriguing. And then when I actually went to read it, I got like a few stories that I didn't enjoy, and that completely marked the way I saw that couple. So maybe if I read a few good ones, that would change. But for now, I'm not crazy about them. The next couple, we have Nikosan and Jingunjao. Now, this is not a couple that I like. let me be straight. Let me be clear. I will never look for the stories with them. I just don't like them together. Obviously is, I guess, manipulative bitch. I don't know. But I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy with the dynamics, especially the dynamics after, everything that, well, not after everything that happened because Jingunjao is dead, but with the whole thing of Nikosan manipulating Jingunjao from behind the scenes, and it's a complicated dynamic. However, I'm going to put them in meh because I have read a story in which they are together and I have liked it. And that one, no, actually, sorry, I'm going to put it in the recycling because that's the thing. I read a story. It was the main pairing of the story was Lan Shishen and Nimin Jue, and it was a story in which the Nis weren't actually a clan of cultivators. They were like an invading army, that they were invading like the territories of the clans or something like that. They were declaring war, and they were an invading army, and they offer Nimindre, who's the leader of this army, they offer him to marry to someone from the Lang clan. The details are very blurry, but I'm going to find it. I'm going to put it in my list so you can read it, because it's such a good story. And in that story, God, how can I explain things? How can I make my brain express itself? Not easily. Jingunjao is there, and is this a spoiler? No, because it's in the tags. It's in the tags that you can see. He ends up having a relation with Nikosan, and I didn't mind it. It was obviously I think I would say a secondary relationship. But that one I enjoy. So I'm going to put in the recycling, because maybe under very different circumstances, I am willing to accept it. I am willing to read this particular pairing, but it has to be very particular situations. But that story, that is such a good story. I haven't read it in a while. I have to read it again. So, again, definitely on the list. The next pairing that I have here is this one. Boy, this one is close to my heart. I have Yan Li and Nimindre. You know who this is going. This is going straight for the top. I love this pairing. I don't know what it is. Because again, I really like Yan Li and Shin Sichuan. And normally, whenever I read a story and they are not together, I feel like there's something wrong. Like, I feel like they are the pairing for Yan Li. I think it's Shin Sichuan. However, I love stories with Yan Li and Nimindre. I just love them. I don't know what it is. I just think he deserves to marry a hunky guy with a big dick. She deserves it. No offense to Shin Sichuan, but he doesn't look that, muscly or like he has a big dick. Like, he might surprise me, but let's face it, he doesn't. And I feel Yan Li would be into it. I think she deserves it, like a treat. And I think she would be happier. I don't know if she'll be happier. Like, to be honest, we don't know her life in the Jin clan. But the Jin clan, there's a bunch of dicks. They're horrible people, like most of them. Most of them, they're horrible people. Shin Sichuan was fine, and I guess his mother is also fine. Everybody else were horrible. Like, everybody. So I feel like he should go to a clan that, where she could have a good time. And I feel like if you have Nikosan as a brother-in-law, you will have a good time. I feel like you will have, a lot of things there. Like, she could have fun, she could... I don't know. I just love it. I just love it. I'm not going to apologize, but I love it. And there's so few stories. And I feel one of the things that I found the most frustrating for Yan Li is that whenever I do find a story that I like about her, it's usually like these stories in which she's secretly a badass and like, she also knows how to fight because she's the daughter of Madame Yu, and I don't know. I think that is such a... I don't even know how to explain it. It happens the same to me when I read stories in which Nihua-san happens to be a secret badass. And I feel... I don't know. I feel like a lot of people only see value in characters if they can fight. And it's like they don't value any other characteristic for others. And when it comes to Nihua-san, obviously, just seeing that he has a different strength. His strength goes more, related to how he thinks and the kind of weight the kind of machinations that he can create in his mind. And that is already badass enough. I don't see how fighting would make him more badass. As a matter of fact, I like that he doesn't fight because it definitely creates a balance between him and the other characters. And the same for Yan Li. It's like I think what bothers me when people do that to the characters is like they somehow feel like they are deficient, like they need something, like they are lacking on something. I don't think Yan Li is lacking of anything. Her strength is how kind she is, how much of a nice person she is. She's not strong in the way the others are. But that is not a problem because she has her own strengths, and her own strengths are that she's nice and, she can cook, and that's fine. That is not bad. There is a lot of people who have the same strength. I probably definitely wouldn't have the same strengths as people here. So I don't know. It just frustrates me that when I see that. So I think that's probably the reason why I like the pairing between Nimindre and Yan Li, because in a lot of stories it's like, it's just Nimindre liking Yan Li because of that, because she's softer, because she's nicer, because she's just how she is, and he likes that, and I like that too. So I don't know. This ended up in a rant, just in a rant of me complaining how people portray certain characters. Not every character has to be a badass. Not every character has to have a sword and kill things. Some characters have different strengths and they can achieve things in their own ways. And I think it's interesting when people do that, especially in this story in which the two more powerful characters in the story turn out to be the ones who pretty much don't, like, Jingunjao does fight, but that is not his strength. His strength is in something else, in the way he thinks, in the way he can, plan things and things like that. And the same happens for Nikosan. So the two more powerful characters in the story, or the ones who ended up having the most power and being able to, manipulate everybody else, are the characters that don't necessarily have strength in other aspects, in their cultivation, in their fighting. So, I don't know. I feel like there is a trend nowadays that if you have a female character and she doesn't fight, then she's not strong, and that is such bullshit. Anyway, let's move on. The next couple that we have is Jinling and Lan Shui. And I actually seen people complain about this couple because they say that they are actually cousins, and they are definitely not cousins. I'm not saying that being adopted doesn't mean that you're not actually related, because I do. But if you're adopted and you also didn't grow together as cousins, what do you mean they're cousins? No. Jinling didn't grow up with Lan Shui thinking that is his cousin, in no way and shape. And I don't know. To me, it's weird that people think that. Is it different in other countries? I don't know. To me, it would be different if Lan Jingyi is in the next one. If Lan Shui and Jinling had grown up since they were little and they knew they were related, that would be other thing. There would be something else. But we don't actually, and again, no. Although I do think that, it's fine to ship them because they're definitely not related. I feel like we like to joke about, Jinling and his uncles. I think sometimes they go overboard into believing that he actually, that those are actually relatives, and they are not. He has a lot of uncles, but, don't go overboard with that. So where am I going to put this? I'm going to put it in meh. I don't actually care. I'm not a fan. But I'm not a fan. I don't care. I kind of can see it, but to be honest, I'm not that interested in this couple. I just don't. I don't know what it is. And I do like Jinling. Jinling is a character that at the beginning I did not like, and then I did grow to like a lot more. But I don't know. I don't really see him with Sichuan. I'll maintain it. They are in meh. The next one, however, I actually do like this one. I'm going to put it in second best. I do like Lan Jingyi and Lan Shui. I don't know what it is about, just best friends that then become more. I don't know, it's kind of sweet. And Lan Jingyi is one of my favorite characters in the show. So, and also, Lan Shui is one of my favorite characters in the show. So I loved it. I do notice that there is protectiveness for them. Obviously they are friends. I don't think this even hinted anything, but I still like them together. I think they're sweet. For the next one, we have, I think we just entering into the crack ships, and I'm disappointed that I don't have more. I feel like I should have included a few more, but to be honest, I have reached my limit for pairings, and this video is already 1 hour and 37 minutes, so I'm happy I didn't include more. But crack ships, I enjoy them, so I could have included more. The next one is a ship that I'm surprised there's not more about it, because Wen Liu and Wen Chao, I don't know. I feel like there could be more. There could be a lot of potential. I'm going to put them, you know what? I'm going to put them in second best. If somebody's going to write it, I'm going to read it. If it's not too angsty and has a happy ending and all of that. But I don't know. I have the feeling. For some reason, I thought more people. A lot of people don't like Wen Chao, rightly so, because it's a piece of shit. I'm not saying that people should like Wen Chao, but I don't know. I'm surprised that there haven't been more stories. Trying to kind of, I'm not justify it, but maybe trying to make him look a little bit better, or maybe transforming his character a little bit. Maybe some alternate universes, who knows. I'll definitely read it. I'll definitely like this character more than him and Wang Linjiao. And I already said that if I transmigrate into the universe of the Untamed, and I'll transmit. One of the options is to transmigrate as Wen Chao, and definitely Wen Liu would be my end game. That, what more can you ask if you're Wen Chao, to be honest? So I don't know. Again, I have never read any story with them, but I would read it. I don't know if I would look for it, but if they are in a story that I was already reading, and they are like in the second couple, or they have their own plot, I'll be pleasantly surprised about it, because I don't know. I think it has the potential to be funny. That's what I'm trying to say. I think that's why I included it as a crap ship rather than an actual ship, because we have Wen Liu, who has always this blank face, who only does the bare minimum that is required from his job, barely speaks, doesn't do yes, he's going to fulfill your orders, but he's going to do it in just with a bare minimum of effort, and he's never going above and beyond anything. Talking about quiet quitting, that guy has been quiet quitting the Wen clan for a long time. And on the other hand, we have Wen Chao, who is absolutely useless, but he's always talking shit to other people. Like, why? You're just an idiot. So I don't know. I think they have the potential to be funny. I will definitely read something for them. The next couple, a surprise, because I didn't expect to include anything with Lan Qiren. And then I started reading stories with Lan Qiren and Wen Ruhan, and boy, I was wrong, because you know that I love Lan Qiren. You already know this. I love him. A lot of people don't like him. I disagree. I love him, and it is difficult because who are you going to ship him with? Like, by the start of the story, or not by the start of the story, but during pretty much the whole of the Untamed, everybody around him is either related to him, so much younger, or already married. They are sect leaders from other sects, so he doesn't actually have peers. But then I started reading stories with Wen Ruhan, and I didn't know it was what I needed. There is one particular author that they have written a few of them, and actually I have loved them so much. And there is another one that is Lan Qiren, Wen Ruhan, and Niminjue's father. I would have never guessed that would be something that I would be interested in, and look at that. I was so into it. I really liked it. So I'm going to recommend the ones that they wrote, because they have written a few, and I also like the kind of they have written different stories, but more or less all of them have very similar backstories for Lan Qiren and his relationship with others and all of that, which I think it makes it interesting because the backstory they write, I think it makes a lot of sense. So I actually enjoy it, especially when Ruhan is characterized, and not necessarily as, the villain that he will be much later. Usually these stories takes place when they are much younger. And when Ruham is kind of like a little shit. And you know how I feel about characters that are a little shit. I love them. So these two characters, I'm going to put them in chef kiss because this is what I need. Especially, because we are looking at the two actors that play them in the Untamed, who are older actors, But if you imagine that something closer to what's happening probably in the book and in Morao Sushi, which is that cultivators don't actually look that old. So if you imagine like the ones in Morao Sushi, they look great. I mean, they both look great for their age. So that is also another experience. Although I don't mind reading, I'll be honest, I don't mind reading stories for older people. And is what it is. And speaking stories for older people, oh boy, here comes my boy, my favorite character. He's not my favorite character, but a character that I happen to talk a lot about, and the character that I probably identify the most, it's him, is sect leader Zhao. And this is obviously a crack ship, like it has to be. But there was a time in which there were so many people talking about this. Like if you look it up Tumblr, you go back to it, there was like a renaissance of this couple in which everybody was talking about it, everybody was writing fics. And I will admit that I didn't read any. And I would not look for one. I don't know if I'm interested in reading this. I can see the attraction. Can I see the attraction? I don't know. You know what? I don't know if I can see the attraction. But again, I found them funny. And in my book, that goes a long way. I find that if you have a character that maybe is, not if they are a complete villain, but if you have a character that is a little bit reprehensible, or maybe they are a little bit of a villain, but they are funny. Oh, that goes a long way with me. I'm going to forgive a lot for a character if they are a little bit funny. And I found the leader Zhao hilarious. I'm going to put them here in second best because it has never happened. But if it were to happen, if I was reading just a story about Lang Wenji and Wei Wuxian, and suddenly out of nowhere you get sect leader Zhao with sect leader Ouyang, I would love it. That would make my day. That would make me so happy. I think that would be hilarious. So here we are. This is 1 hour and 45 minutes. Why? I blame the introduction. If I didn't do a long introduction, it would be so much shorter. Anyway, these are my decisions. I am definitely noticing that I hate a lot of pairings. I don't know what to tell you. I have a feeling that also depends on my mood. Maybe if I have done this in a different time of day, different day, maybe some things would be different. But I did it now, and this is the result. I have the feeling I missed a few pairings, but I think we have at least the main ones and a few more that I added just to sprinkle some of my own preferences. But that's it. So this was me ranking 28 of the pairings of the Untamed. I hope you enjoy it. If you have any other recommendation for videos that I could do related to the Untamed and Morao Sushi or whatever, just any video, just let me know. I don't know if you can put links in the comments, but you just have to put the name of the video and that's it. Okay, guys, I'm going to stop this so I can go and react to Advanced Bravely, which is another treat that I get to do on Sundays. So I hope you enjoy this. I hope this wasn't too long. And I'll guess I'll see you next time, hopefully. Bye-bye, guys.